Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the ton. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi Tash from Middle-earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her Phoenix Rising era.
Settle down onto your favourite settees. Settees? Plural. I mean, let's be real.
You need to.
Pell and Colin went through a few of those. As we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the ton, this Bridgerton podcast is two mamas talking friendship, I don't even know my words today, romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and we're all little cuckoo, deep, 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 diving into the connections of our favourite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers.
I have the perfect deep, deep for next time, but I'll tell you when we're not recording so that we can use it. Just remind me. Dearest listeners, 'tis the morning of the nuptials of Mr. Colin Bridgerton to Miss Penelope Featherington. We see Lady D and Lord Anderson have it out and finally come to a resolution. Penelope is disassociating as her family gathers for her wedding preparations, and hopefuls line up for a chance at £5,000. These are short in production time, but needed for plot advancement, so must be analyzed with care. Also, this is the last time that plot points are used to indicate the passage of time. From the wedding on, it is Benedict's revelry used as the ticking of the clock.
The ticking of the cock.
We go from the ticking of the clock to the ticking of the clock.
Sorry, people, it had to be done.
That was a must. That was so good.
Okay, starting out with Lady A. Well, I mean, we're gender bending everyone now, apparently.
Them.
I'm just, getting on board with the Bridgerton vibes. Lord Anderson and Lady D. That's not even the part that I was up to. Why did this just scroll for it? So I had kind of been pondering whether or not Lord
Pod snacks.
I don't. My brain doesn't brain. I'm just jumping right in here, people. Pod snacks.
Everyone will understand soon enough.
Pod snacks.
Pod snacks. Pod snacks. Pod snack is snackety snacks. My pod snacks today are all sugar. I'm having some lemon squares because those lemon squares I had last week were phenomenal. So I ordered them again this week. And I have a Cadbury Dairy Milk Caramello candy bar. And then my son went up to the gas station and asked if I wanted a drink, which I already had soda at home, but I wanted something, different than water. So they had watermelon Jolly Rancher flavored slushies. So that's my first drink of today.
And it looks so good. I still love slushies.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. Because especially in Aussie, it's so hot. We live on slushies over there as kids. Today.
I didn't even have a carriage moment today, but I needed a cold, refreshing treat, obviously.
Whereas I am freezing cold and I've wrapped myself in a hot water bottle because winter is coming. That is not my snack, though. I have an egg sandwich and a peppermint tea today.
And we just had a long talk with our sensitivities and proclivities off recording about how an egg sandwich must be white bread.
Has to be. Anything else is sacrilegious.
We agree on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the Ladies Bridgerton endorse. Your egg Sammy must have white bread.
Right. I literally don't ever eat white bread any other time in life, but egg sandwich is a must.
Okay, so Bridgerton news. Oh, by the way, we do not have any sponsors for Pod Snacks. We are sponsoring those ourselves these days. If you would like to sponsor Pod Snacks, please go to Buy Me a Coffee, to Tosh the Kiwi, Lady Patty, the Ladies Bridgerton. I forget what it is, actually. Anyways, if you go to the descriptions in our YouTube videos, it's there. Or in the pinned comments of our Facebook podcast group, it's there as well. But if you donate to us on Buy Me a Coffee, then you become a Pod Snack sponsor, and we thank you profusely on the pod. So now, Bridgerton news, and we have quite a bit of news today, and I got some news you're gonna love.
What's the tea, Vale?
The first news we have is that the British National Film Awards have been announced, and that is an awards that fans vote on. So the voting is now open. So please Google search British National Film Awards so that you can get your votes in. And our favorite people are nominated in these categories, so you can I've done a supporting Bridgerton and Bridgerton projects list curated by the Ladies Bridgerton. So if you want to vote for everything Bridgerton related and other projects our Bridgerton actors do, here's your list. First of all, nominated for Best Film is The Magic Fairway Tree, which has Nicola Coughlan in it. Best Actor, Reggae is in that for Yumi and Tuscany. Supporting Actress, Nicola is nominated for Magic Fairway Tree. Best Comedy, Yumi and Tuscany and Magic Fairway Tree. Take your pick. Whichever one you have seen or liked better, or if you like Reggae better than Nicola, or vice versa. Bridgerton Season 4 was nominated for Best TV Drama. Best Actor was Luke Thompson for TV. Best Supporting Actor, Victor Ali. Go, Sir John. Best Supporting Actress, we had two from Bridgerton. Katie Leung and Masali Baduza, right? Masali Baduza. It's Baduza? Sure. I'm not looking at it. I just wrote her first name. Best Bridgerton film, or Best Bridget, oh my gosh. Best British film is Magic Fairway Tree. And then while Yirin was not nominated for Best Actress, she is in the Best Newcomer category. So you can find her in Best Newcomer and vote for Yirin Ha. I've already done my votes. Next up, Yirin Ha is also nominated for another kind of newcomer type of award. And I don't think it's an award. I think that Variety, the publication, they do an Up Next in Entertainment like issue or a spread, however you want to say it, and Yirin Ha is in that. And they, this time around, they are specifically, they chose like Asian and Pacific Islander actors, actresses, and whoever else in the industry that are influencing the industry right now. And she's in that category.
Amazing.
Which I found very interesting. Johnny Bailey is finally being announced for other projects that he's going to be working on.
Because I thought he was still on quite a hiatus after like having such a chaotic season last one.
He was supposed to not film at all in 2020, he had said. But there's another project, I forget the name of it. This one I didn't write down the name. I know the synopsis of the story though. So he was announced he's going to be in a project with Natalie Portman. And he's going to be somebody training to do like the Tour de France, some sort of bike. I don't know if it's actual Tour de France, but he's a cyclist and he's training and he gets involved. I don't know if relationship wise, but maybe just as his doctor with a doctor who is very singularly focused on her career and her success. So maybe she does something she shouldn't to enhance his performance. I don't know. That's my own imagination. And then here's the one that I thought was going to be, you've probably already seen it, but I get to point it out on Bridgerton News. A casting call went out earlier this week or late last week for Bridgerton. Well, they always just say for a major television production.
Two babies.
Well, a toddler and a baby.
Yeah.
They want a child 10 to 20 months old. That is a redhead. And they need a 3-year-old. So we're going to see Elliot again in season 5.
Those carriage rides were hidden just right.
Yeah. So my guess is we're going to have a now portion of an episode because there's supposed to be a 2-year time jump in this season. I know we kept saying that for season 4 because that's what it was like in the book. But I think it's been announced by production staff or Jess Brownell herself that there is. And also, right now, anyone who can get there, Ranger House is dressed and in its prettiest because they're filming there currently. They are slated to film at Ranger House from May 1st to May 20th. So all the good stuff. Bridgerton House is all prettied up if you can get by and see it.
All covered in its wisteria.
Snap a picture. Claire,
Claire Bell. Do us a solid.
Post it in the group for us. And that is my Bridgerton news.
I love that Claire shared the new Bridgerton event she went to over the weekend. And her brother took her. That's so sweet. And she got to meet the winner of the award, the person that got to go to the premiere. And I was like, but are they really
that contest we told her to enter that
Are they really
because you had to be in the UK for that.
Yes. I'm like, they could have sent Claire and we would have all been so happy. It would have been a great promotion actually for them because Claire actually posts to like the main Bridgerton page and our page. Like she does the hard yards. Like she is the eyes in the sky.
That's okay.
I mean, it's so hard for her. it's hard work for her having to go to all these tea parties and eat all those delicious scones with clotted
And
cream.
all
Like,
this
I don't
crap
know. How
and
does she even
everything.
handle it, honestly?
I don't know. That's a life, man. I'd be challenged. I would love it though. Could that be my new job?
All right. I do believe it is time for us to make haste into today's
Oh my
episode,
gosh.
finally. I think, are we? Yes? No? Maybe?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so in the past, I had been kind of pondering whether or not Lord Anderson lived at Lady Danbury's for the entirety of the time. But the wording of what he says as Lady Danbury enters into her drawing room, and he says, "It is not your footman's fault. I slipped in." That, like, I think the way that he phrases this definitely is, I am living elsewhere. Your footman.
Yeah.
It wasn't the maids let me into this room. It was very specifically
Yeah.
the footman who announces people at the front door, which means
Yeah.
that he is definitely living elsewhere now.
Well, and I think after their fight at the Wallflower Ball is probably when he found his own lodgings, my guess.
Yeah. And it makes sense as well. He probably just stayed with her like when he first came because one, he wanted the connection with her, and two, I think he probably just needed time to find somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, most people have to. I mean, heck, Violet's been looking for a dowager house this whole time.
She's got a lot of kids though.
Right.
So
Well, I want to say this first because we come into the scene, Lady D walking into her drawing room doing what? Reading a letter and laughing
yes,
over it.
laughing.
Like,
I was like, is this a
how-
new whistle down or what? Like, what is this letter? I want to know.
It's definitely correspondence. And here's what I'm telling you, Bridgerton. This could have been a letter from Simon. We could have heard something. She could have talked to herself. She could have said, Simon and Daphne just had another baby, or you won't believe what
those kids are incorrigible. Like another kid, how do they manage it?
You won't believe what Augie did, like to the footman as she's entering the drawing room or something. Like that. We know the family still is in existence with each other. Like just something, just a little something, please.
They're off teaching at Hogwarts.
Right. Well, Reggae's been there before, so
yeah,
he knows how to get there.
He knows the way.
He's like, Auntie Lady Danbury, Auntie Agatha,
Auntie Augie.
I have a new position at a private school. It's way up north. You don't try and visit me. You'll never find it.
If you just run at this platform.
Watch your knees. That's so funny.
I don't know why, but my brain is now imagining the Queen and Lady Danbury just running full pelt and smashing into the wall. They are Harry and Ron.
That's why I said watch your knees. No, okay. First year running at the platform, I think of like a Hyacinth and Gregory situation.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen and Lady Danbury, I see that Harry and Ron friendship as season 2. Is it season 2?
Yeah, movie 2. Yeah,
where they steal the car. Yes, the second movie where they steal the car. I think that is definitely Lady D and Queen Charlotte's friendship. Like, what have you gotten me into?
I don't know why, but I just kind of wish they did like a Thelma and Louise spin-off of Queen Charlotte. These two girls going off on their adventure together. These two ladies going off on their adventure together to Sierra Leone. The Queen's like, all right, Audi, the King's back in charge. Good luck with that.
Well, they kept the Queen alive now, so they can unalive her however they would like.
Don't even
go off a cliff together.
Okay, so I love that Marcus isn't even trying to beat around the bush with this. He's like, okay, I understand that there is an issue. And I mean, from his perspective, I would probably be like, are you kidding me? Like, this happened 50 odd years ago, maybe more, 60 odd years ago. And this is still a thing. Like, he starts out with, the night you nearly escaped. I had no concept of what you were running from. I was 10 years old. And I think this is him kind of trying to bring her back to reality a little bit, because he understands that where she is coming from doesn't come from rational thoughts, because realistically she's mad at their dad, not him, but she's projecting those feelings onto him. I had no concept of what you were running from. I was 10 years old. All I knew of the world outside our home was that it was dangerous for a young lady. And I thought if I could get you to stay a little longer, perhaps I could give myself time to prove myself to you, to our father. Like, I do feel for him because she's holding him to an adult responsibility when he was literally a child. But trauma
Yes,
doesn't, again, have
I don't
thrashed out.
understand that at all. After having season 1 Lady Danbury being as caring and that she is with Simon,
Yeah.
that she is still holding this grudge against her younger brother. And she's now raised several children through that age that she should know a 10-year-old wouldn't have had that kind of awareness.
You know, when sometimes
it's a terrible plot point, in my opinion.
You know, when sometimes you're mad at someone and you get to the point where you forget what you're mad at them for, but you just hold on to it because it was never resolved, but you don't even remember what it was about anymore. And I feel like that's kind of the situation here. Like, she was mad at his dad, but as a child, she'd placed that anger on him because he was the brother that dobbed her in, sort of thing. And I mean, from a 10-year-old's perspective, like, I remember being 10. I remember my friends doing dangerous things and not telling my parents. Like, it is a miracle that those kids are still alive today. It's a miracle my brother's alive with the amount of stuff he got into. But as siblings, you cover for each other, right? You know, because you don't want to get the ire of your sibling. And I feel like there was this father was so awful that they kind of banded together to protect each other. And this is a time where he didn't, and he chose the dad instead, and she felt betrayed by that.
Would need more context. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they made this a huge point and then didn't really hash it out properly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We deserve 10 extra minutes per episode also in season 3 that season 4 got. With 10 extra minutes, this could have been fleshed out and made more sense. What I do like here that we get as a kind of a character assessment with Lord Anderson, because there's not really a lot. We get more of him in season 4 to understand his character, but in season 3, he's kind of on the outskirts of things. But the fact that he defends her staff after, you know, we have the scene of them at breakfast and he's entertaining her staff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we see that he doesn't feel for the class divide. He treats his staff members as family. He's treating hers as if they are not furniture in the room, you know, to quote Sophie. Whereas Lady Danbury only talks to the staff that talks to her, like bringing her a letter or whatnot. She treats her staff well, but she does create that separation of church and state, and he doesn't. And this says something to his character. It really it told me in this moment, he really is a good match for Violet. Like,
it reminded me a lot of Benedict.
At this point of season 3, we really don't know if we're going to like him with our favorite mama, right? I mean, this is like we're getting a step.
I think we all feel very protective over Violet. Like, she is the mama of the ton. You know, in Greek, we kind of call people Thea, means auntie, who aren't necessarily our auntie, but we have one lady who's called Theobisti. And like, it's the auntie to all, even if she is not literally your auntie. And I feel like that's kind of Mama Violet as well. Like, she is a mama to all. If you are a young girl that needs a shoulder to cry on, she is there. And that's why I just feel ripped off that we didn't get the Posey Violet storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we missed out on that.
Posey deserved a mother, even if it wasn't her biological mother, a mother that cared.
Yeah. And then I just want to point out the costuming here. Lady Danbury perfectly matches her surroundings. Her green coat, she's wearing a green coat and it's over a dusky pink color. It exactly, I won't say matches because it's not the same pattern or anything, but it's the same coloring as her drawing room. Like, the wallpaper on the walls is this dusky pink and green. And Lord Anderson is also in green, which we know his color normally is navy blue. So this gives them the vibe of siblings. Like, they didn't send a memo, but they're kind of wearing the same colors. You know what I mean? So it kind of signals to us in this scene that they are going to resolve things, that they're kind of on the same wavelength. They're feeling each other's vibe. And when you have had a separation for many, many years, to see this lets us know as viewers, it's kind of like subliminal messaging to let us know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that last line that he said, and I thought if I could get you to stay a little longer, perhaps I could give myself the time to prove myself to you. I feel like that's very much him saying, like, I respected the hell out of you and I looked up to you. You were my big sister. Like, I wanted you to see me in the way that I saw you, sort of thing. Like, Well, maybe not that. Like, I think he wanted her respect and he did not understand. I mean, obviously, he did not understand the implications of not letting her go over the wall as such. Because what 10-year-old understands that it means that some gross old man is going to be hopping up on his sister? Like, he doesn't have any understanding of that.
No. But that is the perfect kind of age gap for a young sibling to look up to their older sibling.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 to 6 years, We're
Funny
not sure
that.
if she was 15 or 16, really, but he was 10. And that's usually when you see the stories about an older sibling having a tag along sibling, they're
Mm-hmm.
usually about 5 years younger. And I just want to point out, knowing the age gap now that we do between them, and what we discussed was the probable age gap between Lady Danbury and Violet, he is in the perfect age range for Violet.
Yeah, because I would guess, yeah, we figured it out that Violet was like, say, 14 and not far from coming out to society in Queen Charlotte. We would have placed Lady D at about 22 to 26. So about 10 to 12 years older than Violet. So yeah, the age range makes sense.
Yeah, we assume approximately 8 to 10 years. So if they're 5 years apart, he's 4 to 5 years older than Violet.
Yes, which definitely made Lord Ledger just a little bit old, but that's okay.
Yeah, but by that point, she was pretty much an adult.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like he did not know her when she was 18 kind of vibe. Know what I'm
He
saying?
did not know her when she was
He did
18
not
months
know her when
old.
she was a child.
18 months
Right.
old, yeah. Yes.
And I want to point out some scripting in this too, where he said he wanted Lady Danbury's approval more
yes.
than their father.
Yeah.
Because of who she was. And he said the very act of dreaming he found to be so brave, right?
Hmm.
And it's the act of dreaming. It's not dreaming for a better life, the act of dreaming, which means it's a conscious choice to dream. And I love this line, even though it's being said by him and it's being said about Lady Danbury, it is in the season with our two dreamers, our two writers who have the most flights of fancy of any of the other leads. Like, they're very imaginative, and Penelope obviously is always dreaming and thinking of something better than her own surroundings. And then Colin, who grew up with the best of everything, still dreamt that someone would get to know him on that very deep personal level, because he's surrounded by so many siblings and everything that he just doesn't have someone who completely sees him and all facets of him and loves him, that he wants that close, deep connection that he finally gets with Penelope. So I love this line, and that he acknowledges that it's a brave act to dream.
Well, he said, I've heard you make comments disparaging the girl you once were. And that kind of goes along with Penelope as well. Like, before her glow up, like, or even before she started riding Whistle Down. I'll start on Lady D first. Like, he's saying, you thought that you were so weak or you weren't fierce enough or whatever, so you made yourself fierce. And he's saying, no, you were always fierce. Because, I mean, realistically, I think what she's actually saying is, I hated that I had no control. I was 14 years old. I had no say over who I was going to get to marry. So it wasn't that she hated herself. It was just she hated the time she was born into, because she had no say over her own life and her own body. To have no body autonomy. Like, imagine how scary that was. And it still is. Like, this is still a reality today for a lot of people. But the same kind of goes for Penelope. I mean, nowhere near to that extent. Obviously, she's not being forced to marry like Cressida was. But let's look at Cressida. Someone made a post on the main Bridgerton page this week, and I think that it actually does not get talked about a lot. Cressida was basically being sold as a sex slave, a breeder, to a disgusting old man. Do I think that Cressida is a shining example of a human being? No. Do I think that she is growing? Yes. She was very much a product of the house that she was born into, and she made herself fierce. Just like Lady Danbury. I think there is a lot more between Lady Danbury and Cressida than what a lot of people would like to acknowledge. They both make hard decisions to survive their upbringing.
I want to point out here, because you brought it up about Cressida and her wedding marriage contract and how that looks. That was the norm of the time. I found a new YouTube video that I'm in the middle of watching and taking notes on. It is called What Regency Weddings Were Really Like, and it's by the Snoozatorian. So what this guy does is he does YouTube sleep videos that are about 2 hours long. That is usually history lessons. And it's just, because people fall asleep in class, I think is his whole premise. But it's got a lot of great information. And he purposely studied for this video. He studied the period of time between 1811 and 1820. And he says, randomly picked a year in the middle. He said 1814. That's only a year from Colin and Penelope's season. And the way the wedding market worked is, and it really makes me understand more of why Lizzie was able to get out of Mr. Collins's proposal in Pride and Prejudice. But what happened, there was a very strict rule book about how these things took place because they were business transactions mostly. Love was not involved. It was starting to become an idea, but not really utilized. The mother was in charge of ferreting her children to these assemblies. She had a list of qualities that her and her husband had talked about that they specifically wanted. A man had to have income, his own income, prospects, connections, and hopefully someone to recommend him. So women were walking around with their daughters trying to gauge, like, well, that's Lord so-and-so. He has this for land. He's
Lord
got this
Farquaad.
Right. Like that was a thing. Then when the gentleman decided that the lady was suitable, he did not tell her. There was no, how like we talk about all the time, how in that time period, nobody spoke, like they were not direct. They talked around the thing. And that's because everything verbally was a contract. The gentleman could not enter into any kind of speaking or negotiations
Until they
with
talked
the
to the dad
mamas or the daughter. They had to go to the lady's father. They had to bring their ledgers. They had to bring their accounting to show that they were flush, to show that they had income, to show that they did not have debt. And then they had to show their connections and all of this stuff. Then the father would take that information. He'd decide, okay, he's suitable. Then he'd go to his daughter at that point, maybe over dinner, and say, so-and-so has come to me offering for your hand. Do you have any objections? Now that sounds like the girl gets a choice, but mostly she didn't. The father's already made the decision. He's just kind of, the way this guy described it, it's kind of like when a job makes a business decision and they bring it to their employees and they're presenting it in a way like it sounds good, but they're acting like they're going to get your input, but they really already know what they're going to do, right? They're just kind of giving you a heads up that there's going to be a change. And then, the girl, there's a lot of reasons why she would not decline it unless it was very questionable. Most of the time she agreed because she didn't want to upset her father. She didn't want it getting out into the rumor mill that an eligible suitor was turned down because that hurts her real estate value. And then the father would go back to the gentleman. They would begin negotiations. If they were super wealthy, their solicitors would handle that. And there's so much that goes into that contract that I really think we should do just a whole YouTube video on this because it's a lot. So what Cressida actually went through is accurate. That is the accurate way weddings and marriages occurred in the time. Some dude came to her father, said, hey, I want to marry your daughter. They considered her almost a spinster, which true spinster age back then was 22 to 23. It wasn't 27 like Julia Quinn makes it sound like. 22 to 23, if you haven't found someone by then, you're considered damaged goods. 27, you're completely off the shelf. So the way Antony came to Daphne about Lord Berbrook, accurate. What Cressida went through, accurate. What everybody else has gone through, the love stories, very inaccurate. Especially Penelope and Colin, because only a male can handle the contracts. And it doesn't have to be a male family member like Bridgerton says. It has to be whatever male is in charge of her betrothal at that point in time. Which, considering there was no father and no actual brothers, it would be Finch. Even if Portia negotiated everything because everybody knew Portia to be that kind of personality, Portia could not sign the contracts.
No, she has
It would have to be Finch. So that's a big plot hole. Are you putting on your blankie? I know I got long-winded. But this is fascinating to me, and I will be referencing this YouTube video more when we get into the wedding scenes and analyzing those. Because a lot of the stuff this guy says also plays in for me about why Colin has loved her from the beginning, and he thought he would be rejected by Portia and everything. So I will be referencing this more. So if anybody wants extra homework, look up the Snoozatorian, how weddings happen in Regency times, and it's about 2 hours long. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think Cressida went through an experience this year, very karmic, but also it gives us the visual of what Lady Danbury went through, since that was just spoken about.
Yeah, because like, you know how we always talk about how side stories feed the main story. I feel like this story also feeds into Cressida's story.
Right. And I think Bridgerton does that really well, where we don't need a visual for everything. Like Lady Danbury's story, we know what it is. We don't have to watch that, because that one would have been harder to watch, because Lady Danbury was a toddler when this contract was made. Yeah. Watching Cressida go through it is a little more palatable than watching actual visual of it happening to Lady Danbury. So I thank Bridgerton for that. I would hate to watch an old man, like an older person,
grooming a baby,
entering a contract to marry a child he's looking at who's 3 years old. That would be disgusting to me. So I'm glad Bridgerton chose to do it the way they did it, and had it be Cressida, who's already an adult, and the man is just decrepit.
Well, I think part of why he's saying Anderson, Marcus, is saying that she disparages the young girl that she once was, because she doesn't know herself, because she's like, everything that I was up until my husband died was curated for him. Is the things that I like genuinely the things that I like, or are they just because he liked them? So I can see why she has this huge divide between her childhood self and who she is now, and why she tried to change everything about herself, because she's like, all of that was curated. Like, even if she did like certain aspects of herself, it was all curated for him.
Yes, but I also think too that this is how the both of them handled the type of father they have. We do know his father was, their father abusive. Was controlling, overbearing, abusive, and she wishes she could be stronger in terms of having more control. And Lord Anderson wishes he could be brave so that he could have stood up to his father for her.
Yeah.
Both have that, kids get this fanciful thinking, there's a specific term for it, it's a type of daydreaming that you do where you dream up situations when you have an abusive parent or authority figure in your life.
Oh, you mean like the theories that Harry Potter was still under the cupboard and that he'd literally dreamed up the whole scenario in order to cope with the fact that he was being abused?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
But I'm talking specifically in theirs, they both had these maladaptive daydreams where they were able to take control back from their father, stand up to their father, overpower their father. Like, for example, in my own childhood, when we were living out a punishment my dad instilled upon us, which was one in many, line of many, 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 a little harsher than they should be punishments. We were out there talking about the day when dad would be old, in a wheelchair, on pills, like, what we would do when the roles were reversed and we were the powerful one. And I just want to say, first and foremost, I never acted on any of those.
No, but it's
just daydreams of a child.
Kid's way of surviving, yeah.
It was our way of surviving. And I think they were the same way. I think they both wished they could have done something different, but both of them as children knew they couldn't, and he took on humor. We see him all the time, like joking around, using humor, and Lady Danbury created her armor. Both very regular coping mechanisms of kids growing up in a toxic household.
And I felt so bad for her when she said, perhaps I have subconsciously taken notes from our father. The fear of hating the man that raised you, and then like the fear of, did I turn out just like him?
Thinking you became him, yeah.
Thinking you became him. And so I'm very glad that he said, you were nothing like him except the cane. I think the moment needed that kind of little lighthearted, like
levity. Yeah.
It's a very heavy conversation that they are having, like talking about child abuse, child slavery, because that's literally what she was sold into. She was sold into child slavery, sex slavery of all things.
Well, and if you think about it, if you really listen to the story and how it unfolded, he was charged with keeping an eye on her and bringing information to their father.
Yeah.
So he was manipulated and used by their father as a 10-year-old boy. That is why she had so much animosity towards him.
Yeah.
Because not knowing that he was manipulated and used, she thought he was doing it because he sided with their father. That's the only way I can think she would be as angry as she is, right?
Yeah. And it was surprising that she actually opened up the way that she did it in this part. I have been hard on you. At last, my life is full of joy. And I've been afraid that you would.
You're completely skipping over the best line ever, where she just looks at him and goes,
You got
"Don't
all the
come
good
for my
joints."
pain." You must have got all the good joints in the family. I love the "don't come for my cane." Like, that is the most open threat. We don't get to see her like smack that cane against somebody's ankles,
Yes.
like in the book. But this was the moment where we know
Mhm.
she can.
She can. Yeah, she said, and I've been afraid you would take it away from me. Any joy I am after, I deeply hope that you are a large part of. This part sort of surprised me because she said, my life is finally full of joy. She's saying that she's finally content in life and settled and all of that, which doesn't quite marry together with her then wanting to go back to Sierra Leone where she was the most unhappy. I mean, granted, she was the most unhappy being married to a decrepit old creep, but you know what I mean.
No, it makes sense to me because what I got out of her story is that the family moved to England to be near the man that would become her husband someday. So she left when she was very young. Because what'd she say in season 4? She was, 4 years old when she left, right? Sierra Leone?
Mm-hmm.
So her family made this marriage contract, then followed the family that she's going to marry into to England. So she wants to go back to the last time she felt safe and go back to her childhood home before her life became what it did. I think because she was in a relationship with a narcissistic man who her whole life was curated to please him, she's kind of wanting to go back and find her true self again.
This is giving me Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Brand. If the only thing that's stopping you is the legal age limit, you're a pedophile.
I personally think if you have a cap, like there's a pattern with one of those names you just mentioned, that every time a girlfriend hits a certain age, they're no longer a girlfriend.
You know that Russell Brand just came out recently saying that he slept with a 16-year-old girl when he was 30 and it's okay because it's legal in England.
If any part of your defense is about it being legal, that's gross.
Yeah, which is like the fact that they even start the marriage mart.
You have to defend your relationship saying, well, it's legal in England.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
But I think when I divorced my ex-husband, I went on a journey because, I mean, I had a long period of time of my life where I was who I was. Although in my therapy journey, learning I also grew up with a narcissist. And when that happens, a lot of times you don't fully develop your own personality because so much of your personality becomes catering to them and making them comfortable. That I went on this journey of figuring out who I was, reconnecting a lot with friends, people from my past who I felt like my most authentic self with, or maybe they could give me some insight about who they thought I was so that would help me find that person. That's what I see Lady Danbury wanting to go back to Sierra Leone for. I think she wants to go back to her origin story so that she can really decide how much of who she is now is authentically her and what she wants to keep from the curated version to create who she is now.
And I mean, I can very much understand her sentiment. Like, we moved from Australia to New Zealand, and I was obviously still in high school. I had 3 years left of high school, and I made friends. And my brother wasn't in high school, and so he had a really hard time compared to me because you go to high school, you make instant friends, whereas he was 18, and so he ended up dating one of my best friends that I'd made for 7 years. But I was so mad because I was like, these are my friends. Like, my whole childhood in Australia, my brother was always older than me and he was always in trouble at school. So it's always, oh, you're his little sister. Okay. You know, and then we come here and I'm like, okay, this is my time to just be myself and not be in your shadow. And I'm like, and now I'm going to be in your shadow again, you know, with my friends, because now you're going to take precedence. So I do understand like these immature kind of feelings because I've been through them. And I feel like because she went through what she went through, she does still have, not that we would ever expect it from a 70-year-old woman, but she does still have some immature feelings because they were unresolved.
Well, also because when you're triggered when you've been through a major trauma and you're triggered, you immediately go back to that time.
Yeah.
So she's going back to 4-year-old her, 16-year-old her.
Mm.
Because, as my mom always said, the only part of you that ages is your body. Your heart, your mind, your soul, those don't age. So you can be 3 tomorrow if you want to be. You just got to go back and remember who that 3-year-old you was and act accordingly. I would suggest if you are presenting 35 or presenting 50, you don't do it in public, but you can do it. And it especially happens in trauma when we're triggered, when we lash out. That's why most arguments sound like 2 toddlers fighting.
Which is why
I don't care how old you are.
Which is why I think they finish off with that line. And they need to speak to the footman. They need to mind the visitors. Like, it's such a sibling, like, who let this riffraff in here kind of a, just to kind of lighten the moment.
They should have known you'd annoy me. Or just because you told me to not say anything to them, I'm still going to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this scene for us playing into the main story is supposed to be to let us know not to give up hope. We know Colin can hold a grudge. He's still holding one against Anthony. That's 2 years running. But Lady Danbury's been holding on to this grudge for something like 50 years, and it's finally resolved. Like, any conflict can be resolved with the right kind of communication. And that's all Colin and Penn need, is time to be able to communicate and learn how they're going to communicate with each other.
I think it also shows sibling relationships, because obviously next scene we go into the Featheringtons, and this is a literal scene that's all about like Penelope finally having the attention on her and Prudence.
I don't think, and here's the thing, like everyone says it's like, oh, Penelope's finally the star of the show. Penelope is in agony. And I don't think, since we're segueing in, I don't think it has anything to do with the wedding or real fear that Colin's not going to show up. It's, why are these people here? Like, why are they bothering now? Like, she just is so, it's kind of, I said dissociating in the intro for a reason. Like, she's,
hear me out.
It's surreal to her.
Hear me out. She's 5 to 6 weeks pregnant. And she is currently so nauseous and so tired and wanting life to end and miserable.
I know. She's
and
probably
feeling.
Like, I should be excited. She's probably sitting there thinking, like, I should be excited. Why do I feel like I'm going to throw up, though? It's nerves. It's nerves.
It's just nerves. No, it is a baby in your belly and it's making you miserable.
And what I put in my notes is, there's 2 things that are playing on Penelope's face. We're coming from the perspective of like, we are the mirror on the other side of Penelope's dressing table, right? We're seeing everybody behind her, but we're seeing her face. She's in the center. She's not used to being the center of attention. So she kind of is like uncomfortable. This is not what she's used to. Anytime Prudence has ever entered her bedroom, it's been to ridicule her, to see what she's doing because she's bored, to get her in trouble. Portia, anytime Portia has entered her room, except for the last 2 times, well, she still kind of criticized her when she was like, you can't live in your room forever. But it's usually to criticize her, to chastise her. So she's used to people coming into her room. This is her sanctuary where she is safe from her family. Yeah. And now they're all crowded in there with her, and it feels weird. And then the second thing is, I mean, just imagine the moment she's having right now. She's getting ready for her marriage to Colin Bridgerton. She has literally dreamt. She wrote him letters in this room. She dreamt about it, wondered what he was doing on his travels, wondered what it would be like coming from a girl who lives inside of her head, i.e. me. I know she is sitting there thinking, I can't believe that. Like, she feels like this is the dream. If she would have done like Anne with an E and pinched herself, I would have not been surprised.
Well, and not to mention, we've talked about this many times before, this is a girl who's had the rug pulled out from her every single time. And she's probably thinking, yeah, we've gotten this close, but like there's still time for things to go wrong. And I'm sure it's going to go wrong because I can't ever get what I want. Surely that would never happen.
Yeah, because, and that's a good point too, because she almost makes the same face like when Varley says, are you ready for your dress? Right? She looks the same as she did the night she was getting ready to go get proposed to by Devling. almost to the point of doing that same short breath, like where she's steeling herself to prepare for it.
Yeah. Can we talk about the outfits actually? So Portia's is just the most offensive. So I know she's trying to blend the green and the blue to represent the two families merging together, but does it always have to be so busy? Like,
they all are. All of their outfits.
But both sisters have done it in a really subtle way of tones and greens. Like the blues and greens kind of blend together really gently. And they both have
softer greens and softer blues too.
They both have these little pink.
Are you okay?
Yep.
What happened?
Things that happen. It's Yeah, I'll explain later.
Does your nothing hurt?
My what?
Your nothing.
Yeah.
Back in the day when we were in college, which I think this whole story is going to tell everybody just how autistic Smaug really is. Because when we were young, and you know how most autistic people don't really have a lot of inner awareness or sometimes an oversensitivity to things.
You mean the amount of tangents we've gone on today?
No. I mean like physical feelings and stuff in your body. Like,
yeah.
You have a random pain somewhere. He would always get a random pain on the side of his body that the liver is not on, the appendix isn't on.
Yeah.
Like it's just intestines over there, like below the pancreas, just intestines, nothing's there. And we literally went through like the anatomy, like there's nothing there. So he started calling it his nothing. And he'd go, and I'd be like, what? He'd be like, no, my nothing's hurting. I had a pain in my nothing.
It's a something. It's a something. So both sisters have a really subtle blue and green tone going through, but then they have these little pink flowers. And I was like, this imagery is really, this imagery is really, really tickling something in me. And then I went and looked it up. And their dresses look like a literal representation of Monet's water lilies, which represents deep introspection, which is kind of interesting because that's exactly what's happening in the scene with Penelope. Like she is deep in her thoughts. Do I think the costuming department is quite that deep in their costuming? Maybe, probably not. But I do actually think that if you look at the dresses, they look like you know how we just had the Met Galas, art is fashion is art, life is fashion, whatever, where they were literally turned into artworks. These dresses would have met that runway theme because they literally look like Monet's water lilies.
Yeah, and I felt like their two dresses were so similar but different.
Yeah.
That they
married together.
They gave me bridesmaid vibes.
Yes.
Even though nobody stood up with them, which when we get to the actual
did they have bridesmaids? They did back then, right?
Kate stood up with Edwina at that wedding. And I'm not at the wedding part of that video yet. I'm only at the precursor to the wedding. Well, I'm at the wedding part, but it's not. There wasn't always, you had to have a witness. So each person had to have a witness there that says they went through it. Your audience could be the witness, guests of the wedding, but some people would have someone stand up.
That's probably why. Bridesmaids existed in 1815, the Regency era, but they looked and functioned much different than the modern concepts of coordinated bridal parties. Bridesmaids were usually young, unmarried sisters, cousins, or close family friends of the bride. So realistically, Eloise would have been a bridesmaid.
Could have been a bridesmaid.
They did not wear.
That's why those two little girls were the flower girls, because the Featheringtons don't have any unmarried sisters now, or probably cousins. So these are like children of somebody.
They did not wear matching coordinated outfits. Instead, they wore their Sunday best or fashionable light-coloured gowns, often white or pale colours, to complement the bride, with little regard for coordinating with other bridesmaids. Yeah, it should have been Eloise, because realistically, she's both closest with Penelope and Colin.
Yeah, and when we get to the wedding, we'll get into it, because there was nobody standing up with Colin either.
No.
But several men, not just his brothers, were wearing the wedding boutonniere. So I have lots of thoughts. I took notes on that today. So that is a foreshadowing into our wedding episode that sounds like it's going to be 2 episodes long at least.
Yes. So I absolutely love this little moment. When Portia tells Penelope that she's going to make the most beautiful bride, look at how proud Varley is. She is so proud of Portia that she is finally being the mum that Penelope has needed her to be, and actually seeing her daughter, like not just seeing her, but like actually giving her daughter the props that she needs, because Penelope has massive self-esteem issues. And for her mother to not be like, oh, well, I hate that color, but it's rather fetching on you. She's always compliment sandwiched her daughter, but this one was just a genuine compliment. And Varley's face is so happy. It's the cutest moment.
Varley's face is happy, but this is where I got the vibe, like, Penn is like, why now? What is this? What's going on? She is just so unsure how to even hold her body in this scene, because everybody's here. They're all here for her. Her mother is complimenting her. I mean, thank God she's faced away and she doesn't see Prudence being her little bratty self, rolling her eyes and everything.
I'd like to say it's also pregnancy feelings, but that's just Prudence.
Except Philippa's up there looking at Penn's books like, this is my sister's collection. She was a reader. Look at her now. Like, you can see her.
Yeah.
Her feelings are changing, or the admiration she's always had for Penelope, feels like she's allowed to have now, because Prudence isn't the star of the show anymore.
I think they've all been in survival mode for so long that I don't think she's ever actually taken the time to get to know her sister, because it's always been Prudence and Philippa versus the world. And then Penelope comes along and she's the baby of the family, and she's just an annoyance sort of thing. Like, she's always been the outsider to those two. And I don't think that Philippa's ever actually taken the time to get to know her sister. And now that she's paying attention a little bit closer, she's like, hey, my sister's actually pretty great. And I just never gave her the time of day to realize that.
Well, and I think too, not so much that Philippa and Prudence were them two against the world. I kind of see them as a sister grouping like Lydia and Kitty from Pride and Prejudice. Where Lydia, even though she was younger, we know Prudence is older, but one sibling is very intense and selfish and wants all the attention, and the other sibling is her sibling in tow. Like, you have to go with me into town because I can't go by myself. You have to, do this with me. You have to do that with me. And I think that's what Philippa is. And that's what makes this scene, because Penelope is standing in this scene doing something that's completely unlike her. She's about to be the star of the show. She is no longer invisible. Prudence is living through something completely unlike her. Yeah. She is not being acknowledged at all. She is the invisible child. Philippa is experiencing something unlike her. She's always been told she's dumb, not clever. And here she is looking through the books like, hey, I could borrow one of these. Portia, doing something outside of herself, actually complimenting her child and mothering in a way for her child. This is, everyone's out of their comfort zone in this scene, and it gives it an awkwardness that really is kind of delicious. Like, we need this here. We're so tired of angst by this point, right?
Yes.
Angst and conflict that we're seeing. In fact, I can't say so much the Queen's scene is about repair, but the Lord Anderson and Lady Danbury was like textbook perfect. If you had a family therapist running that show, it couldn't have gone more perfectly.
Yeah.
And here you have the Featheringtons, who are awkwardly trying to change their family dynamic, and they just have no idea how to do it. And it's coming off really awkward. And that's really what repair really looks like in a lot of families, is I need to show up differently than I have been, and it sucks until I get used to it, but I'm going to do it. Like, Prudence didn't have to be in that room, but she was.
I kind of think that Portia didn't give them much of a choice. It was, get in your sister's room now.
Well, and that's possible.
And they're still very much under Portia's thumb. Like, even though they're both wives now, so you'd think that they kind of like got some independence in that, but they're still very much acting like they're, in their mother's house under her rule. Like,
Prudence lives in her own home. Prudence could have pregnant. She could have feigned illness up until the wedding. She could have showed up at the wedding at a different time. Yes, Portia could have corralled all of them, but I also don't think Prudence wanted to be left out.
Featherington support each other.
I know, we're under the motto now that the Featheringtons always support each other. That's what they're going with, and Prudence is giving it a try. So, she's not liking it, but she's trying.
The ye old college try.
And I love that both Ray and Varley are in the room. because we know Ray to be Penn's lady's maid. Penn has been paying for her own lady's maid, I think. So she's had her own. I think that plays into season 4 dynamics a little bit. I want to do a whole YouTube episode on why Colin is running the estate. We just don't see it. I've been playing with this thought process for a bit now. Ray and Varley are both there because even though Varley is not Penn's maid anymore, she was there her whole life. So she's like a second mother. She's like
she's like her godmother.
So Varley is like, Ray's doing the actual stuff, right? Ray's messing with her hair. Varley's laying out the garter type of whatever that jewelry is and all that stuff. Like, she's playing mother. She's doing the things Portia should physically be doing. Like, if you're thinking of this moment in your own life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Varley's doing that stuff, and Ray is being the lady's maid. Varley is not there in a servant capacity at all, and I love that. She wanted to be there.
Yes, which is what makes season 4 so disappointing. All right, let's move on to the last portion before the wedding begins. And this is the Queen. And I feel like they kind of need to jump to something a little bit more lighthearted after such a pensive kind of moment. Like, they kind of do that where they try not to just go sad, 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 or like, you know, like, I mean, to be fair, the wedding obviously not a pensive moment, but I feel like they try to lighten the mood with some quality geezer humor.
Yes, and I also think it's the Queen was hoping, it's like most of those plot points. If you think of Annie, okay, have you seen the musical Annie, like the old one? Oh my gosh, girl, the movie. You haven't seen the old movie with Eileen Quinn, Daddy Warbucks? It's in
maybe
other movies too, but like, when somebody makes an announcement that they're going to give away money for a piece of information, like on cop shows, we have a tip line because we're offering a $10,000 reward, and they get stupid tips because people are just trying to throw a dart and try and get that money.
Mm-hmm.
Annie, when they say, hey, we know her parents are still alive, we have proof. If you can bring proof.
Is this the girl that lived in the orphanage and she like dreamed up this whole thing, and then the dad comes and gets her at the end?
She doesn't dream up the whole thing.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
She gets rescued from the orphanage by his assistant, who goes to the orphanage to, like, he gets a bad public image and they need to help his public image. So they decide that he's going to house an orphan for a little bit to help improve his public image. And the assistant goes, and she ends up choosing Annie. And Annie goes and lives with him, but then figures out her parents are still alive. They try and find the parents. Only the parents aren't alive, and he gets to adopt her in the end. But they believe the parents might be alive. So they put out this thing. We have proof. If you have proof that you are Annie's parents, bring us that proof and you will get this reward money. And people just start showing up, like mounds of people. And they didn't want to have Annie exposed to all of that deceitfulness in the world. So they whisk her away to go meet the president in the movie. That's what they do in the movie.
So
to go meet FDR because...
The delusion of these mamas, right? So, Your Majesty, I turned my ankle while chasing after a delivery boy. I see. And what did you discover? Well, he told me he does not know who Whistledown is, but he says most of his buyers live in Mayfair. So he thinks Lady Whistledown must live there too. Okay, like, the funniest part is that Miss Hartigan really thinks she ate with that information. She's like, this juicy little tidbit, you must be so happy with me. And like, realistically, this is like the most obvious thing in the entirety of the world. And everyone knows that, except for Lady Hartigan, who is looking at her daughter and encouraging her, like, as if she's like, yes, share this beautiful piece of information, my glorious, intelligent young girl.
Yeah. The way I see this is, and even with the Lord Holly that comes up in a few minutes, this scene is indicative to me of the various levels of fandom of Bridgerton.
Yes.
You have your casual watcher who months after the season airs, they're like, or they do the people who still to this day, they go, I was today years old when I realized this. And it's something from season 1 and it's like their 4th rewatch. And then you have somebody who's a little more passionate about it and they're throwing out, oh, this scene made me feel this way, or I noticed this. Like, I just saw one the other day in the Bridgerton fan group where somebody noticed that when John dies in season 4, and Michaela's on the sofa. The painting behind her is a picture of John and Francesca on that very same sofa, and Michaela is sitting in the spot John is sitting in the painting.
John's replacing,
Yeah. So that is like what Lord Holly is. Like a little more deep detail required a little more, not just passively watching it, but a little thought process while you're watching it. And then the queen herself, who is the seeker of information, is our geeky selves, looking at the two different things, looking for the details, looking into the details, and figuring something out because she dug into the details. Like this whole scene, I feel like was the writers, JB, whoever wrote the scene, it's like their homage to the levels of Bridgerton fandom.
You know what I found interesting though? So, because I've always said that Lady Hardigan to me looked Greek. And so I was like, I'm going to look her up. She has a speaking role, but she is not listed on IMDb, nor is she listed on Bridgerton Wiki, despite the fact that she has a speaking role.
Did you go specifically into... Because this is
the
only
episode
she speaks in, doesn't she?
Yes. So I went into this episode and went and looked at every cast member for this episode. And then I went into Bridgerton Wiki that has a rundown of every cast for, and I think they get a lot of their information from IMDb as well. But yeah, she's not listed despite speaking.
Well, that's on her PR team, her management team.
It just surprised me. It's just like a random thing because I've been trying to figure out who she is for ages.
Because IMDb is a lot like in America, our credit reporting bureaus. They hold a database of information. The creditors are the ones who send that information. So sometimes information can be inaccurate or non-existent. So IMDb is my Bible, but I know that, like for Bridgerton, the only people that can update that are the management teams of actors. Will, once they're tied to a project, that'll be submitted, and then IMDb puts it in if they've found it to be credible. But sometimes things can go in, like some information can be inaccurate at times. And then Shondaland, Netflix, they can also submit information. So the fact that Shondaland or Netflix probably doesn't do all that updating themselves, it's the management teams, that kind of tells me that. There's so many people in Bridgerton that I think Shondaland and Netflix only focus on the main characters and making sure they're associated with each episode.
Makes sense.
Because they also have to do the creatives as well.
Yeah. Come through, Lord Holly, here to mansplain to us all, because clearly women are far too dim to write something as great as Lady Whistledown. Surely it has to be a man.
Well, and I don't think he thinks women are too dim. If we remember from Stag Night, he's in the background talking to a group of men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that much like he was at the engagement ball, right? And then Cressida announces herself at that soiree. He is the one telling the young debutantes. He's spreading the gossip. So I see him as an information gatherer, and he just can't. He's a gossipy dude, and he can't hold it
I
in.
would die if he is the new Lady Whistledown.
So he's talking to a group of men at White's the night of Stag Night, and now here he is, and think about the revelry that went on at Colin's table. Think about the deleted scene where Fife was trying to create a scenario that would put Colin in a bad spot if it got out. You know what I mean? Like almost like perpetuating bad gossip. And Lord Holly takes that information and goes, I bet he thinks Fife is Whistledown, and therefore it's a nom de plume, or somebody else in that club, because of the nature of White's, all of the betting, all of the information that gets passed from person to person. And then anyone in this deleted scene who would have witnessed Fife trying to set Colin up would be like, So I think that's where Lord Holly's coming from. I think he thought he got some information, but he's trying to present it really formally because it's the queen and he wants his time with her.
He just waffles on.
He wants his 15 minutes of feeling important. So he's like, I'm surprised the queen didn't be like, spit it out, man. You good?
Yeah.
Somebody message you?
Yes. What in the article do you think is the part that makes her realize that it is someone in the Bridgerton family?
The fake article is, you know who I am now, and I'm just going to attack the Bridgertons.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then the one that comes out, literally distributed at the same time or just after, rushed to produced. That's where she's coming from. somebody rushed because they knew Cressida was going to say. And I think up until this point in time, remember in season 2, the queen thought it was Eloise, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the queen still thinks it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, funny, after I threatened her, she all of a sudden is in Whistledown as a radical. But I haven't seen that girl act radically this whole season, right?
Hmm.
So I think she's looking at those. She knows. She's probably seen her around with Cressida. The queen's been out to a lot more functions this season than normal. Would have seen them sitting together at her ball. Think about her vantage point to the dance floor, their vantage point to the dance floor. The queen would have seen them in that box. So I think she still, at this point, still thinks it's Eloise, potentially, and realizes one is just lambasting the Bridgertons from start to finish. The other one lambastes the imposter and then gives proof by all these little things she's found out that are all, if you think about what they are, because Penn is catering to Eloise here. They're all people who suffered injustices. The maid was fired for wanting a day off. The lady was suffering abuse from her husband. Very Eloise coded. So if she thinks Eloise is a radical, or Eloise posts that she's a radical to get out from under her purview, and now all of her gossip has justice hackles behind it, and it's rushed to print because maybe, she knew the Bridgertons were going to be thrown under the bus. She's decided it's Eloise. I think she walked into that wedding 100% believing it was Eloise.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
I don't think she's going to announce that I think it's Eloise again. I think she wants them to squirm, and she's hoping Eloise will fall on the sword for her family or, come forward finally. And not to mention, when she does walk into the wedding, where's Lady Danbury standing? Next to Eloise. So I think that all signs point to the queen has always had this inkling it was Eloise. And the way the two were written, she's decided that girl hoodwinked me last year. It really is her. I'm going to get her.
I think that we have wrapped up this episode and we'll be starting on the wedding episodes. For today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. If you have any tangents you would like to share, please find the Ladies Bridgerton on Facebook and YouTube. Enjoying the podcast, I don't know words anymore. Please click like, subscribe, and follow wherever you are listening.
And once again, thank you for listening to the musings, ramblings, and whatever we call Tasha's speech impediment just now.
She's just surviving, okay?
Of two mad women. She didn't get a good night's sleep last night, guys.
My hot water bottle leaked into my bed and made my feet wet. Yours truly, Tash the wet Kiwi.
Lady Patty.